Hello and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. This is your host, Vidakovic, and on this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the most valuable strategies to live your one wildly beautiful and most precious life. Because this is it, my friend. In case you haven't guessed, when it comes to life, there's no rewind or pause button that exists. They say that the way that you spend your days is the way that you spend your life. So my one and only goal here is to help you stop wasting your time, stop holding yourself back in life, stop experiencing non-stop negative mind chatter, stop just dreaming without doing, and start living life fearlessly instead, with more purpose, focus, and intention. I sincerely want you to live life in a way that when you come to the end of it, you know deep down in your heart that you 100% gave it your all, flaws and all. This podcast is not about doing life perfectly. Instead, it is about experiencing and living life with more clarity and courage and truly appreciating this precious adventure that we are so blessed to be on. So if you're with me here today, it's time to stop spinning in circles, get off the hamster wheel for good, put your hands back on the steering wheel of your life, and finally start living life in a way that you won't later regret. With that being said, let's dive on in. Hello and welcome to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I'm your host, Vidakovic, and in today's episode, I feel like I might be a little bit ranty because this episode is titled Parenting BS Stories That We Absolutely Need to Let Go Of. And I'm going to be sharing with you all the BS stories that I've faced and I've discovered and I've had to let go of after 19 years of being a parent. So I should start this episode with a confession, and it says, when I first started my website, inspiringmomlife.com, where I help soul-led moms have a great family life while achieving their dreams, I was a little bit nervous about giving people the impression that I was walking around this world thinking that I'm the perfect parent with the perfect kids. And the reason that I was super clear that I didn't want to give anyone this impression, which would be totally wrong, is because I was super aware of the fact that no, I'm not perfect. My kids aren't perfect, because of course no one in this world is perfect. And this is actually one of my pet peeves in life, people who do their best to create this facade of perfection, of having this flawless, perfect life with no problems and no challenges, because I know that this is a big fat lie. Because as humans, we're all going to have our good days and bad days, our ups and downs, our highs and lows, and we're all going to experience 50-50 when it comes to positive and negative emotions. And the reason that I know this is true is because we can't escape the fact that we are humans. This is part of our life, and it is true for every single human in this world. I really do think that the reason why my website, when I first started it, was so successful, throughout its first year of launching, I actually had over 1 million page views in that first year, is because I was very clear about the fact that I'm an imperfect parent with imperfect kids, simply doing the best that I can with the tools and resources that I have at my disposal. And I wanted to share with you in this episode 2 totally BS stories that parents are often fed by the so-called experts in the world who think that they have the answer to all of our problems. And I guess I sort of guessed that they were BS, even back when my kids were younger. But now that my kids are 19 and my son's going to be turning 17 later on in the year, I can 100% unequivocally say that they're lies and that you can promptly ignore them from here on. So here goes. The first BS story that you can freely ditch today is that someone else knows what's best for your kid. So have you ever faced a parenting challenge and gone to seek advice from others, like your family and friends, or maybe you've searched the internet and discovered that there are 1 million different solutions or so-called solutions to this parent problem that you're facing? And all of these different ideas actually just make you feel even more confused, because who do you listen to? What advice do you take? You might start to doubt your actions because you've chosen to do A, B, C rather than X, Y, Z. And then you're oh my gosh, I need to get this right, or somehow I'm going to mess up my kids and scar them permanently for life. So here's what I have to say about this particular BS story. You and only you know what is best for your kid. And what you're going to discover if you've got more than one child is that what works well for one child does not mean it's necessarily going to work well for the others. So you might stumble across, a particular strategy that works really well for one child, and you think, okay, this is perfect. I've worked this out. And then you go to do it with the other child and no, they're not into it, okay? You can try the same thing on child 2 or 3 or 4, however many you have, and it can fall completely flat. And why is this happening? You're wondering how come it's not working now? Well, it's because your kids are individuals with their own unique personalities and preferences and needs, and they aren't robots that are guaranteed to respond in a certain way just because you did one particular strategy that worked well for one child. And so this also goes to say that you could try something and it might not work on one, and that doesn't mean you have to write it off because it might actually work well on another child. So the main point I'm trying to get across to you is that, of course, you can ask for advice if you want advice, and you can search for ideas on the internet, but do it all with a grain of salt. Okay, like, never assume that someone else knows your kids better than you do. Like, if you come across lots of conflicting ideas that are different, just trust your gut when it comes to making decisions. Like, what ideas speak to your heart? What ideas resonate with you? Like, what ideas do you feel compelled to try because you feel like it would honestly be the best fit with your individual child? And then just test them out. And if they don't work, that's okay. Like, you can always try a different strategy. But I want you to be embracing it or approaching it with a feeling of confidence, love, and strength, rather than self-doubt and worry and fear, because you are your child's mum. You're the one who loves them the most in the world. Though, of course, their dad might want to debate you on that. But anyway, that's not the point here. The point is that I want you to learn to trust your instincts because they're rarely wrong. So ignore everyone who says that they know your child better than you do, unless, of course, they're a medical professional who has some sort of insight into a particular condition that your child might have that you're not privy to. But even then, like, you need to feel comfortable with whatever is being suggested. You need to make sure that you feel like that it really is in your child's best interest. And if the alarm bells start ringing and the red flags start waving like mad around you, seek a different opinion. And take anyone's advice with an open, rational mind, but always, always, always with the mindset that you do know your child better than those who might meet with them just occasionally for an hour or so, okay? You know your child the best. Now for the second BS story that you need to let go of, and it's that parenting always has to feel so hard. And now this is actually the reason why I put together a bundle of courses for mums called Let Your Mum Life Be Easier, and one for kids called Let Your Kids Life Be Easier, because there is this impression or like this assumption that being a mum has to feel so freaking heavy and hard all the time. And now I've got to be really careful when it comes to explaining my stance on this matter, because I don't want to discount the fact that motherhood has lots of challenging moments. Like, there are challenging moments from the beginning probably to the end. Okay, back when our kids are young and we're dealing with those sleepless nights, like, that's a challenge. And then there's a challenge as they grow older, they become teens and they have, whether it's a little bit of attitude or a lot of attitude, which, you know, fun fact, is totally normal. It's another challenge. And then there are the challenges of, like, not just being a parent, but trying to juggle all the other balls in your life at the same time. That can be challenging. Like, I know I was like trying to show up and still be a really present, loving mum while I was growing an online business. Another challenge. Like, I remember back then having to wake up like 5 to 7 a.m. That's when I would start working before they woke up. And then again, I'd work like 9 to 11 after they went to sleep, because I still had a day job when I started this business. That was a challenge. And we're all going to have different challenges that look completely different. Like, you might be caring for your older parents. You might have a child with special needs or disability like I do. There's all different sorts of challenges. But what you need to understand, so when I speak about this being a BS story that has to be so hard, the truth is it doesn't have to be the hardest thing that you've ever faced in your life. It doesn't need to be the most difficult challenge that you've ever experienced, okay? It gets to be whatever you decide it will be. Now, I want you to know that there are actually challenges in every stage of our life, whether you have kids or not. You still face challenges before you had kids, and you're going to face different challenges when they leave home. You're still going to be a parent, but once they're gone, you're still going to have challenges. And that doesn't mean challenges have to be considered to be super, super hard. Okay, it's a challenge, but you don't have to face it with this attitude of, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to fall apart because this is happening. Because I promise you, like, this thought that you are holding on to, if you are holding on to it, that parenting is hard or that parenting has to be hard, is just going to lead to you feeling really frustrated and annoyed and overwhelmed. And when you are feeling this way, it's going to impact the way that you show up and take actions in life and the results that you're creating. So I personally prefer to look at it in a different way. I really do see that area of parenting being just like all the other areas of our life, like being in a relationship, and I've been in one for over 25 years. It involves good bits and it involves more difficult bits, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And when it comes to your work or your career or your business, it's going to involve good bits and sometimes more difficult bits. And this again is normal. And when it comes to maintaining like good health and exercise, it's going to have good bits and not so great bits, okay? And once again, nothing has gone wrong when it is this way. This is just like doing life, and all of the above, like areas that I mentioned, like so parenting and your health and your work and your relationships, they would be exponentially harder if you walk into them thinking like, this sucks, like this is so hard, I can't do this, why do I bother, like this is never going to be easy. I just want you to know that you miss out on so much of the beauty of parenting when you come into it thinking that it has to be really difficult, and when you are focused only on complaining about all the bad bits, or you're just even focusing your attention on all the difficult bits. Because honestly, like, there's so much beauty there to be appreciated. but you miss seeing it when you're constantly complaining and whining about how hard it is. It's so hard. Like, it's so hard all the time. Like, did you know that things can be difficult and hard, but you can still face them with an attitude of gratitude and appreciation? And this sometimes makes the hard things or the difficult things just a little bit easier. I mean, one day our life is going to be over. Like, we're not here on planet Earth forever, and our kids are going to grow up and they're going to go off and create their own lives. And even though, like, they often say, like, the days are long, the years are indeed short. I promise you, like, they really are. They end up speeding past so quickly. And one day you're going to realize just how lucky you always were, like, to be blessed with this opportunity to be the mother of your kids. So I encourage you just to soak it all up, like the good bits, the bad bits, the love, the cuddles, the tears, everything, like, relish it all while you are still blessed to do so. And I promise you, like, you are strong enough to do this. Like, you do get to decide how you show up when you face those challenges and obstacles that are always going to be part of life, whether you're a parent or not. And so why not choose to show up, with love and strength and compassion for yourself and others? So that really is like those two BS stories that I want you to let go of. The first BS story is that someone else knows what's best for your kid. Absolutely not true, because you are their mum and you know what is best for them. And the second BS story that you need to let go of is that parenting has to always feel so hard. Okay, yes, there will be challenges, but there's so much joy to be found there, especially when you are focused on looking for the good bits. What you focus on grows. Like, that's one of my favorite quotes. So I recommend focusing on the love that you have for your kids, the strength that you have inside, the compassion and appreciation for everything that you have been blessed to have, even though, yes, there are challenges and hurdles and obstacles, all totally normal. So that is it for today's episode, my friend. As you know, like, I like to keep these episodes really short and sweet so you can consume them on the go. But I do have 2 more parenting BS stories that you need to let go of. So listen to the next episode if you want to know more. And also remember that if you want to dive in deeper, please make sure to check out my signature parenting course, which is Be a Better Parent in 30 Days, how to radically change your relationships that you have with your kids in 30 days or less. You can find that at inspiringmumlife.com/betterparent. That's inspiringmumlife.com/betterparent. Take care, and I will catch up with you soon, my friend. Thank you so much for listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast. I really appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your life. If you'd love to stay in touch, please know that you can always find me on Instagram at Vidakovic, or you can visit my website, inspiringmumlife.com, where you can sign up and receive so many amazing freebies that I've created just for you to help you implement all my teachings into practice. There you'll also find all my online courses, resources and programs that I've created to help you up-level your life in seriously the simplest way possible, so that you can ultimately create for yourself a life that feels simpler, lighter, and allows you to show up in a way that you love as your best and most authentic version of yourself. Now remember, this podcast is all about not just dreaming but also doing, because to create true sustainable change in your life, you need to be willing to do things differently. And that's what I'm here to support you to do every single step along the way, so that you too can begin to live your one wild and precious life with less stress, less overwhelm, less drama, and instead with zero regrets. Finally, if this podcast resonates with you at all and you appreciate the content, I would absolutely love for you to show your support by leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more people wake up to the preciousness of life and to help them live their days with more intention and purpose, and your review will help make this goal of mine possible. Well, once again, thank you so much. I have loved spending this time with you, and I look forward to connecting with you again. I am Vidakovic, and you have been listening to the Inspiring Life School podcast.